What's going on, guys? Bel Air Baller here. Today we are going to watch 3 games, one per member of Oxygen Esports, and we're starting off with the new man on campus, Joyo, Joe Young, as it were, his real life name. We're not friends, but you know, I know his name, no big deal. As Oxygen is going to get on the board early here against their opponents in Gentlemates Alpine. And the reason that we're watching this matchup, even though it is a Swiss matchup, is quite a few things. First and foremost, both of these teams are about to go to the London Major. This is Oxygen's first bite at the apple. As Carmine Core had a split to forget, it has opened up a window for Oxygen to join the other 3 standing members from Europe who also made Major 1, and one of those is Gentlemates Alpine, who won the entire event. A less than optimal split 2 for Gentlemates, although I suppose if you win Major 1 and then you make the second Major, you're pretty happy with probably just being here. But they didn't necessarily, after being considered the weak team on the totem pole from Major 1, and then to turn around and win it, to not really impress a ton in the second split is something to keep our eyes on. But hey, got to beat the champs, so not going to be too down on them. And in this series, which was a Swiss matchup, how's that for a tongue twister, from Open Qualifier 6, Gentlemates are going to lose to Oxygen Esports 3-0 in this matchup that we're going to watch. And also, it is a perfect sweep. So I am very curious to see what Oxygen are able to do to create a situation in which they are not only scoring at will, but also are completely restrictive of Gentlemates. Now, the first thing that really sticks out, especially in those last couple of plays we saw from Joyo, is just the mechanics and the athleticism, I guess, for lack of a better term, that Oxygen possess over Gentlemates. Up to balls super quickly, up in your face, getting physical, trying to get mid-air bumps, and up. Joyo's up so early for that nobody else is even close, and what a dime that was from Archie. Now, before we talk about some gameplay footage here with Joyo, and the majority of the other 2 games are going to be talking about the gameplay, but I wanted to take a little trip down memory lane of how this Oxygen team came to be, because Joyo has just come on this split after spending his first split in several seasons before that with Moist Esports. He has found himself here. And, Moist moved over to North America, so I'll try and not go through the entire history of Joyo, because that's not the point of this exercise. Last season, Oxygen started off with Archie and Joris, who everybody thought was going to be an incredible pairing. And they are. On paper, that is a phenomenal pairing, alongside Oli, who is just somebody who does everything you need him to do. Not always the flashiest player in the world, not going to light the highlights on fire, but will get the job done, and possesses some mechanics to his name, and was happy to be a third player off ball to allow Archie and Joris to do their thing. What a save by Joyo, by the way. After that didn't work out as well as they had hoped, even though they did have pretty good results, and I think everybody was a fan of Oli as the third alongside the duo. An opportunity arose to get Rise on the roster, and you really just can't turn that down. That's tough to turn down. Rise is an incredibly gifted player. The double demo and transition the other way, how are they going to defend this? Just fine. And they end up picking up Rise. Oli goes to the bench. After Rise is unhappy with that situation, Oxygen go and get Ixo, one of my favorite players, and kept that roster till the end of the season, even kept Archie and Ixo as a pairing, while Joris moved over to North America to join M80 in NAS and AJ. And finally, after the Archie, Oski, we skipped one, Oski. He comes over from Team Liquid after a dominant season last year, but that Team Liquid roster was just never able to get over the hump And speaking of Oski, let's take another look at this one if I don't. I think now we're on Oski point of view. Joyo gonna leave it up, and Oski just gonna follow that in. No. Oh no. One more time. Gets up so quick for this from stationary, off ceiling, keeps boost, and just perfect. He ends with 0. He lined it up the whole way in. Very impressive. So Oski joins the roster alongside Archie and Ixo, and after not making the first LAN and a roster with Oski on it, coming on as a new man, definitely intends to, especially with that much talent around him. They decided to make a change, and it wasn't intended this way, but they ended up doing a direct swap, Ixo for Joyo, as Joyo came onto this team and Ixo joined Jobless Esports. So that is the end of game 1. Joyo able to get across the stat sheet, filling it up, no zeros across the board. That is our first sweep, and now that we have learned how Joyo has made it onto this team, let's hop over to Archie point of view and see how he is able to get this team rolling. All right, we are back. Archie point of view. Why am I fumbling over my words? Oski, Archie, they're so similar. I'll blame it on that. Archie getting up quick early, and that would have been a read on target. He was able to get that bumped. Something that stood out on the stat sheet from this series is how much of a playmaker Archie was. 5 assists in this series on the 9 goals that were able to be scored. So more than half of the goals Archie's able to get an assist on. And that's one right there to get them on the board early. Just able to catch gentlemates in transition there. And Archie puts one right on the hood of, I believe that was Joyo, to open up the scoring in the first 30 seconds of this game. Archie goes 3 for 8 over the course of this shooting, and that's about where you would want Archie, I would assume. You probably don't want a situation where Archie is the highest shooter on your team. You really want to have him creating chaos and facilitating to his teammates. Joyo and Oski are both incredibly gifted finishers, as we saw in that replay from game 1, and Archie's going to get up in the midfield and try and keep this in. It seems like Oxygen are really trying to not let the ball touch their own side of the pitch. They're very comfortable to get transition out early and cut out plays like that, like Joyo does, and then keep this on the gentlemate's side. Archie, nice little tuck shot there, and Oski is able to put that away. Let's look at that one more time. This is a really nice little chip pass here. Able to get that, and then just tips it right over the top and lays it right on the hood of Oski for a rapid double touch. And Oski seems to really be on fire so far in this series. Now, Oxygen seem to be one of those teams where, especially if with all of these players, I feel like it's something we've seen on rosters past, the ability to really have some tilt impact your gameplay, and it's going to be interesting to see what this team looks like on a LAN stage, because I think they can really gain some momentum from one another, especially on stage, to kind of get a feel for things. Oski is very vocal, and Joyo can be as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to be able to play in what is essentially a home game for them in London. All 3 of these players, well, Oski is technically Polish, but I believe he resides and has kind of grown up in England somewhere. But okay, let's get back into the gameplay here. We're seeing this game really start to open up. Look at Seikoo all this time on the ball, and Oxygen are fine to just let him kind of do what he can. Seems like they feel like they have pretty good control over the boost. They're not worried. Look at all the time that Joyo has to get to that ball. Pops it up the pitch. Nobody is up for this. Just going to punt that one to the corner. And this is really opened up and slowed down, which at a 3-0, this is exactly the kind of pace that Oxygen want. This seems like a team that it's going to be tough to turn around a big early lead like this, especially since you can never really overextend. You know that they can blitz on you and transition really quick. I think the secret on this team has been to try and muck things up, especially when you can get them off of their boost, as if every player isn't better with boost. But this team in particular, high flying, aerial focused, solo focused, like to get up quite a bit. And if you can shut that down by controlling that mid boost, especially, or trapping them in their own corner, easier said than done, but that seems to be like a pretty good formula to beat this team. We have seen them not struggle. They've actually done pretty well against some of the top teams. They did end up losing in this event to Carmine Corps in a 4-2 in the semifinals, but that was Carmine didn't really need that one, but it was for bragging rights, and Oxygen felt pretty comfortable about their position, as Archie is just going to play the midfield perfectly here, get a couple dead ball 50s to keep that one in play, tries to stay physical, stay in Seikoo's mind on the other end, and he's the last one back, but look at how high up he is. Patient, isn't going to go too early. Oski's going to beat 2 over in the corner. Archie's just going to wait middle. Again, they don't need to score. They're just trying to run some clock here and not give Gentle Mates the space that they need. Something that was interesting about this series is how easily, seemingly, they were able to limit Gentle Mates on the offensive end. Of course, a shutout is impressive, but I think Itachi only takes 3 shots, Juicy only 4, and Seikoo had 8, if I remember correctly, for the series. Pretty low numbers for this team, although they're not necessarily a volume shooting team all the time. They do like to take their time and pick their spots, but really surprising in a series that means something that is against who should be a rival in your own region to get shut out in Swiss. Definitely not what you would want to see. And that is the end of game 2. We're going to have Joyo 5 saves, shutting down everything that was being attempted by Gentle Mates Alpine on the other side. Let's go ahead and hop over to Oski point of view to finish this one out. Game 3, Oski point of view. What are we going to see from the still incredibly young prospect who took Europe by storm alongside Atau and Achronic for quite some time in Europe? They were known as the kind of new hot commodity. Were we going to see the next Team Queso? Let me take a step back. Oski with a really impactful heads-up demo here, a non-grounded demo, which is very impressive. He's going to heat-seeking missile Juicy on this one here, take him out, open up a ton of space. Archie to Joyo, it's like they already knew it was coming, are going to open up the scoring really early again here. We're seeing Oxygen be able to, is that every single match, score at least within the first minute. I remember last game they were on the board within the first 25 or so seconds. And the same kind of deal here, as Seikoo is not going to get whatever he was looking for. Oski unable to get ball, but is going to send Itachi to the other side of the pitch there. And this one's just going to bounce back. Look at all this space for Oxygen Esports. Gentle Mates, I don't know if they're low on boost or what, but they are affording Oxygen a ton of space. A lot of respect to this team. At some point you would anticipate them picking up the tempo, but so far nothing. And again, this is one of the things where they can really suffocate you. They like to, especially if they're getting something in transition, follow it up with a dunk attempt. So the next time we get in transition on offense, I'll try and point it out, where we'll have one person break out and they'll try and get like they're not afraid to have the first man dive and see if they can create some chaos on the other end. Gonna send that one in there and gonna rotate out for Oski to the mid boost. Bunched up is Gentle Mates, and oh, this is a good opportunity. Let's see what they can do with it. Man up field, but crossbar and out. Archie is not going to be able to get to that one, but Oski's up so quick to get the read that danger is averted. That's a couple good chances from Gentle Mates. They had one in transition last game that they weren't able to put away, and then this is a really hairy situation there that Oski is able to pirouette his way out of. Really low boost here. Archie is going to challenge early. Oxygen really like to challenge early regardless of the positioning. Oski going to cut in on this one, try and get that, see that transition. He tried to get that deft touch to get the dunk upfield. Archie goes for his there as well. And Oski's going to try and pinch this out. No way he gets to that. Super close. really have seen Gentlemates limited in their threatening chances here. Let's see what Itachi could do. Really heavy first touch. Oski's able to get it out. That's a great look, crossbarring out a couple that you would certainly want back if you're on the Alpine side of things. And if that catches him out, you would hate to see it. Luckily not. All right, tempo's picking up a little bit here. Look at how open this entire series has felt. Typically, you like to see, at least Gentlemates like to see from themselves, staying close to the ball, being magnetized to the ball, and staying physical, not giving your opponent a lot of room to make decisions on. But it's actually Oxygen who've been pushing the pace, and there's a great example of that trying to dive in transition. Oski is the first man. He's going to dive at 2 balls, dives again there. They're just trying to slow this down. They're okay with the first man missing. They think that the gamble is worth it. Sometimes it'll bite them where you can really set up your opponent in a good spot where the first man whiffs, and then you have a 2-on-3 that you can kind of pick your spot. But Oxygen, it has been paying dividends this entire series with those early dives. Gentlemates try and connect on a crazy one there. Anything to try and get on the board, unable to, as Oski's going to knock that one out. Rotate out, no boost. 2 are up for Oxygen, but Joyo's right on the back wall. I don't really know where Juicy was trying to go for that. Oski's going to punt, back up. And here's Joyo. What can he do with it? Not much there. Archie in off the sidewall. Keeping that third man really high. Incredible that Oski can get up to something like that. I just spent about an hour and a half before this playing myself and missing every shot like that. So very impressive. It's almost like he's a professional. And after giving the game a little bit of room to breathe like a true professional announcer, we are back. Super spaced out here. Oski upfield, and gosh, I just feel like that's going to work. Unbelievable. Let's look at this again. Juicy tries to chip one out. Itachi is so awkward, cannot get up to that. Oski is now upfield. They absolutely launched the ball to nowhere. Where I don't understand the defense at all for Gentlemates on this. They kind of punted the ball away and then just opened the sea for Oxygen to put a highlight right on their head. 37 seconds left. It's go time for Gentlemates. Oski misses there, but he gets up early. Archie's able to float all the way back in transition and cut that one out. Big demo by Oski is going to open up a ton of space, and if it wasn't already daggers, we have it there. What a slot by Archie. Look at how they're able to do this. I mean, clear one out, 2v3 transition. That's exactly how you want to try and break out if you can get one of those back boosts, or get one of those backside demos rather. And Archie's just going to slot it top right. Top left, excuse me. 2 go for Gentlemates, and Oski still wins. This just seemed to kind of be their series. And shout out to Archie, who, you know, I've definitely made a video on him quite a while back talking about how impressed I was by him and what he could become. Definitely not the results that you would have anticipated at that point if you would have, you know, been gambling on Archie or something like that. But great series here, floor general, able to facilitate the ball quite a bit on a lot of their scores, and just really able to keep Gentlemates in their own half and force them to punt the ball away, just play boomer ball. They were never really able to get some looks. There were about 3 looks there that were pretty impressive by them, but never really able to put anything away. Ended up being their undoing. But great series by the new joiner here in Joyo and the rest of his teammates. Guys, what do you think about this Oxygen Esports team as we get into the major? Do you anticipate them making any noise, or is it kind of a nice to be here? Any team with Joyo is a team that you should fear, but how high up the list do you actually have them? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and until next time, take it easy.